were in Lyon. Like that's the first. I think it was about 2010 or around about that time.
Yeah.
And they used to call us the Lyon husband and wife.
Yeah, we had our favourite restaurant that we used to go to for roast chicken and chips. That was the.
And it wasn't that there was anything going on. It was just that we were always together. Like it was both of our first times doing Bess, wasn't it? I mean, we'd never
strolling around the market and going to galleries.
It was just amazing. I remember that time with and Alison Crookendale. We had Alison Crookendale, the mezzo. We had Ronald Sam. We had Rodney Clark as well.
Yeah.
And there was only 5 of us, wasn't there, that had been chosen from the UK to come and be in the production. But it was such an amazing thing.
And such a diverse cast as well. Lots of amazing French singers, and really great.
Yeah, and I have such good memories of it. What a wonderful time, you know. And so how have you been today? I normally start at 9:01, so that's why you can't. We're not starting. I've got this thing about, and everybody knows I start at 9:01 now.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll be there. In a second. Can you hear me well enough?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So actually, we're at 9:01.
Hey!
So, hi everybody. I'm Nadine Benjamin, the intuitive Verdi soprano. I am a professional opera singer, and I am a certified NLP mind coach and a certified high performance coach. I'm also a theta healer, and I'm here today because I'm on 12 weeks safe at home, meaning that I literally have to stay in my house and not leave it. So I thought, how can I bring what I know and my skills and all my wonderful friends and colleagues that I know together, so we can share with you what we know as well. And I love connecting, championing and celebrating people. And today we have the wonderful baritone writer and presenter, Peter Braithwaite.
Hi there.
Hey! So Peter, this season, he made his Royal Opera House Covent Garden debut in the world premiere of The Lost Thing. Next season, he creates the role of Joey, a world premiere of The Time of Our Singing at La Monnaie in Brussels. He is also a next generation voice with BBC Radio 3, and he currently writes and presents features for BBC Radio 3's Essential Classics. Now, as I always say, neither of us are doctors or medical or psychiatrists or anything like that. So if there is anything like that that you really need, please go and seek it. We really encourage it. Samaritans, whatever it is you need, please. So, hey, Peter.
Hi there, nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, not at all. I'm so happy to have you. And we've got a few lovely people on this morning. Hey, Susan, and hey, Reverend Pan, how are you? Lovely to see you.
Hi there.
So, please tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, firstly, how did you get into singing?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll cut it short for this morning. I started singing at around the age of 8. I was singing in church choirs in a local church choir. I grew up in a very diverse community in Manchester. It's the first inner city suburb that you get to, just north of the city. And we were members of a church there, and there was a lot of music. And one day the choir master there gave me an application form for Manchester Cathedral Choir, and I said to my mum, I wasn't sure about this. I didn't really want to do it. So I stuffed the application form under a bookshelf, and I thought that would be the last we'd hear about it. And then we had a phone call from the cathedral saying that they'd heard that I was thinking of applying, so that the word had got out, but it was too late. But there were spaces at another city centre church. So I went along there for an interview and an audition, and had never read music before, been involved with a choir of that size. And they used to do recordings and TV appearances and various things like that. So it was quite an exciting thing to be a part of. So I joined the choir. I got my cousins to join as well, so I had a bit of company. And they put me between two singers who could read music, and I was sort of looking up at them and holding my music upside down, and then. Yeah, after a period of about 6 months, I started to be able to read music, and we had a really inspirational choir director there called Ronald Frost, who was one of the big professors at the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester, and a legendary figure. And he introduced me to a whole range of the choral repertoire. And through my involvement in that choir, St. Anne's Church, I auditioned for the National Youth Choir, Millennium Youth Choir, and started traveling the country and going on residential courses, meeting other singers, and it was a really great experience, because from my immediate surroundings in the suburb where I lived, there weren't many people singing, and so to be doing that was really great for me to expand my contacts and experiences. And from there, from choral music, I went on to university, having done a gap year choral scholarship at Truro Cathedral, and then carried on as a choral scholar at Newcastle Cathedral when I went to university there, and thought on a whim that I might apply to music college in my last year, and got a place. So yeah, from there it was that's how I was introduced to opera, and I didn't know any opera before that. I'd been to an opera when I was 15 and fallen asleep, so it was yeah, that didn't bode very well. But at music college I really was introduced to more of the repertoire and what it would mean to perform on stage in an opera, and that's what really struck me about opera, the combination of all these forces, the dramatic element of it, and glorious music.
Wow. So you've also been recently writing and presenting. Like, how did you get into that?
That was through, I decided to start my own projects that was 2012, 2014. Between that time, I was thinking, I'm doing opera, but I'd also like to develop my own recital or project. And I've always been interested in giving voice to people who are marginalized or don't get a chance to speak their truth and have a platform. And I was just flicking through some newspapers, magazines, and I found out about the Degenerate Art Exhibition, which took place in 1937 in Germany. And I'd never heard of this, and this was all of the art that the Nazis deemed degenerate and bad for the population of Germany and for the world. And through this, I was led to finding out about the Degenerate Music Exhibition. So I started to develop a recital, a show based on that, using spoken word and the music from the period, which is mainly the Weimar Republic. And through this, I was asked by The Guardian to write about my project. And so that's what kick-started it. And when they asked me, I was like, I didn't really write. I'm not really sure I can say what I need to say. And so, but I wrote an article, and it went down quite well, and I enjoyed doing it. And I suppose that's what's been really great about developing my own work, is having the opportunity to develop these different strands. And so whether that's writing and now more recently presenting as well, which involves the same level of research, and then presenting what you found is quite an exciting thing to do.
Yeah, no, I really identify with you about, really reaching out to people. Doing my mentoring has meant, with Everybody Can, and also making my own work as well. I identify with that. I've just been working with Darren Abrahams recently on our show Beam, which is all about trauma and how you can get through it. And, and I really found the way that you inspire people, or the way that you then connect with people, is very different than the way that you would maybe in traditional opera.
Of course.
It's a very different conversation level, really. I found quite interesting.
And there's a different intimacy to work that is coming directly from you and from your emotions and history and background, and working out what you want to say and who you want to say it to.
Yes, exactly. And like you, I love presenting, you know, so it's that joy of learning about somebody and seeing somebody. I mean, I think we've done it in different ways, but you've done it in more of the research side. But I just love like being in front of people like you and just being able to ask you fabulous questions.
Yeah.
It gives me such joy. It's such a wonderful thing and such a wonderful vehicle to bring somebody to the world and into the world of what we do.
Yeah.
You know. So I just wanted to ask you, like, how have you been affected in this time?
Well, I think the most immediate thing has been losing work over this period, and that's been obviously quite hard to take. And I know lots of artists were all in the same position, and so it's adjusting to that. Yeah. Suddenly find yourself with a lot of space and a lack of deadlines, which I found the hardest thing to cope with, because I thrive off having to prepare and produce a product within a limited period of time, and you're always thinking about your next thing. And so over these weeks, I've been trying to recreate some of that, some of how I usually operate, and whether that's structuring in a bit of practice time. At the very start of our isolation period, I wasn't able to sing at all, and I just decided to do other things, and most of that was family tree research, which I've I've been doing for a number of months now, and I've been interested in it for years, but only it's taken off fairly recently. Was my mum celebrated a big birthday last year, so we really went into the family history and presented her with a whole stack of documents for her birthday, which I think she enjoyed. But
what a lovely thing to do, and I really identify with you again about, you know, making sure that we have some kind of schedule to work to. I've been saying that to people, that just make sure that you're empowering yourself with a schedule, or, you know, so we can make our own choices about what we want to do, even if that's rest or sleep or watching Netflix. Make it a conscious choice that's what you're doing. You know,
definitely,
because it just really empowers you to be all of what you want to be.
Yeah, of course.
Whether that's in rest or in activity, you know.
Definitely.
But I'm going to give a little window into what you've been doing, because, you know, like with yourself and Louise Alder, who's been doing Lulu Bells. Now, both of you as artists, I really admire, and I admire you both and respect you both, because I know that the level of standards that you both like to hit. And with her Lulu Bells and with your work that you've been doing here, it's the same standard throughout. You've got this air of quality about you both that is just wonderful. So I'm going to see if I can make this work. This is a whole new thing, everybody, that I'm putting into this show now. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can show everybody what we want to show them. And so tell us about what you've been doing. Come and show us.
So this started quite innocently. I saw on Twitter that the Getty Museum in LA were doing a new challenge. And because people can't get out to art galleries and see art, they thought it'd be a good idea for people in their own homes to recreate their favorite paintings. So I started with one, and it was an English painting of a black English servant. And I did it it was tongue-in-cheek. There was a little sheep next to me, and it was quite a jokey one. And after doing the first one, I realized that I'd seen lots of famous paintings that we all know and we all love, and not many of them had people of color in them. And so I thought this was a good opportunity for me to try and seek out paintings that I'm unaware of, and that for many people will be new to them. So it's become quite a challenge each day to find a new painting and research the subject of the painting and the artist, and also try and bring my own history, my own stories to the art, and mix it up a bit.
It's wonderful. So do we know what this painting is, or?
This is by an artist, a Spanish artist, I believe, called Hyacinth Rigo, and it's in the Museum of Fine Arts in Dunkirk in France. And it's a young black man with a bow and arrow, presumably. And I chose this because he seemed quite empowered, and he's dressed in a really noble fashion with his fine turban and bow, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to put in my favorite prop, which has become a feature of lots of the this is a bit of a strange object. Give it a shot. Yeah, this was carved by my grandfather, and it's called a cuckoo stick. And it is a cuckoo stick is used to stir the national dish of Barbados, which has African roots. It was eaten during enslavement, the enslavement period, and it's a dish made of cornmeal and okra, and it's stirred for a very long time, and it gets quite stiff. But it needs this paddle to sort of stop it from cloying and for you to get it out of the pot. So this has featured a lot in my childhood when I've sort of got into the kitchen and seen my mum sort of struggling with. So I thought it would be good to put it into some of the paintings, and it's become really, one of the prominent features of many of these recreations.
Well, I'm just going to see if I can find the other one that we've got here. Let's see. As I go in. There we go. And would you like to explain about this one then?
Yeah, so this one was probably the longest.
I can take out the title because then we can see if we can. If I don't show it, then we can see the bottom of that picture.
Yeah. So this is a recreation of a Dutch painting by Jan Steen. I've got the dates here. The dates are around 1660. And it's a still life, a traditional still life picture with a portrait of a young black man. We think it's a child. And what really struck me was that these images are really common, where people would commission a painting like this. It's called a vanitas painting, and it's about mortality and how everything is temporary, and we're only here for a short period of time. And in this one, the person who's commissioned the painting has asked for his presumably his slave or his servant to be exhibited as one of his possessions, an exotic possession. And the boy is actually holding a little portrait of his master in the picture. And it really struck me that it's got musical instruments in. And what's really beautiful about the addition of musical instruments is that it's to symbolize how fleeting musical sound is. We make it and then it just disappears. And to emphasize that, the artist has the instruments placed away from the viewer, so they're turned away. And yeah, so I spent a bit of time, maybe about 2 hours, collecting the items from around the house. And in my version, I've got items that are quite personal to me. The Papageno pipes, which is a role that, so the pipes are in the middle of my painting towards the front. The pan pipes just below a piece of paper.
Oh yes, I can see them.
Yeah. And that's a role that I love to sing. I love to perform. I did it for the first time when I was at college.
Yeah, I saw that. You're so playful. Another great part of your work is that you're really, really playful. Hi, Matthew. Lovely to see you. Hey, Rebecca. Rebecca's going amazing. Wow.
Hi there. Thank you. Yeah. So the Papageno's in there, but also family history. There's a will of a fifth great grandfather who was a plantation owner. And that's an interesting story for my family because it looks like he was the the father of one of my grandmothers. She was mixed race, so this plantation owner had a relationship with one of his enslaved workers, and my grandmother was the result of that relationship. And the image that I'm holding is a blood ancestor from the Braithwaite family called Miles Braithwaite. And one of my grandfathers was actually his adopted brother. They adopted a slave called Addo into the family and took him on as a member of the family. And so there are lots of very complicated links, and it's a story that is common to lots of people from the Caribbean, as I'm sure you know. This very mixed European and African ancestry, and even indigenous communities from South America in there as well. So I thought this would be a way to try and meditate on that history, and putting it together in a picture like this is a real way of looking at yourself from the outside as well. It's really interesting when you go back to a photograph that you've taken like this, and you see something new. It's really, but seeing these works of art with people of color has been really eye-opening for me, and the response on social media as well. And I assume lots of people would have known these works of art, especially art historians who work in this direction. But I've had comments that, oh, I've never seen this before, and that's been really nice to see.
So were you telling me that you play the violin?
I don't know.
One hanging around the house.
So the violin belongs to my partner Sam. He played violin in Croydon Youth Orchestra. He's very protective over this violin. So this was the last item to come out when we were setting up, and he's actually been taking all of the photos. So
can I ask, because the quality of what you're producing is really high, and I wouldn't expect any different from you. I know you very well. But how long does it all take?
So something like this, this was the longest to set up, because it was about finding the items, working out which items speak to me in the best way, and also resonate with the original image, and also keep the integrity of the original image as well, so that people look at my image, but actually they're looking back to the original. And that's what it's all about, people looking at a piece of art that they haven't seen before and going, oh right, maybe I want to go and look at that one as well, and research this artist. But so it's a period of around, this one took about 2 hours in total, because we had to wait for the right light. So it was set up, and then I waited for evening light. So this was taken just before we did the clap for carers on Thursday. So we set this up, took the picture, and then ran downstairs. I was still in makeup and costume.
How do you feel when you're doing that clap for carers? Because I know for myself, and I'm sure other people listening here, I would love to hear from you on the stream, if you're here on the stream, about how you feel about that. I'm always I can even feel it now. I feel so grateful at that time. Like it brings such an emotion. It's like even though it's not the voice, what we're clapping, it feels like we're singing together in some way.
Yeah, there's something immensely powerful about it, and every time we step out onto the doorstep and see the other neighbors, and everyone has a sort of tear in their eye, because it is this wholly moving experience, that knowing that across the nation everyone is doing the same thing at the same time is a real it's a bonding, a communal bonding, which we need at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I take my hat off to. I mean, I always say that I see these sessions as kind of like safe at home, but I understand that our care workers and workers that nurses and doctors and everybody else that don't feel safe right now, and but they're all helping everybody else to feel safe. And I'm sending out so much joy and and so much gratitude to them in such, as we all are, you know. And so can you Lena saying she feels really emotional and connected. Exactly, Lena, like it's
definitely
it's totally agree. So can you tell me, like, how can we get as creative as
you? I'd say that usually when I stumble across things, and it's usually by writing lots of things down about, is there a new project I want to pursue? Is there something that I've always wanted to research or read about? Or is there something that someone said to me years ago that has suddenly come back to me, and I think, oh right, maybe I'll try that and just Google that. Or so it's always keeping a sort of inquisitive nature, always asking questions, and but also
the curiosity of a child.
Yes, yeah, that sort of wonderment. Everything is new, and that's the great thing about having the internet these days, because we have that, it's there at our reach just to find out all of these new things and make connections, and that's what I really enjoy, making the connections in history and looking at it in a sort of broad way as well, and that's what's been really exciting about family history, because that connects me to history, and I can see how I fit into that and how my family fits in, and you feel part of something, and something that's bigger as well.
So maybe that is something that maybe some families could kind of start researching their family history, and maybe like dressing up like some of their ancestors and finding what they
definitely
and finding recipes about what they used to eat. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Recipes and clothing and housing, how people lived, and all of these things, and entertainment. What did your ancestors do in their spare time? Maybe you could recreate that at home, and
wow.
Live like your ancestor for a day, or or an hour even, or 10 minutes.
Whatever keeps you occupied. That's amazing. It's been so wonderful to have you on here today. How can we find you? And guys, if you've got any questions, guys and gals, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will ask Peter the questions if you've got any at all this morning. But how can we find you?
You can find me on my website, which is www.peterbraithwaitebaritone.com, or on Instagram and on Twitter as well.
Lovely. And the Instagram handle is at?
It's Peter Braithwaite, so just my name.
Yes, at Peter
_ Braithwaite.
That's where they can find most of your pictures as well.
Yes, and on Twitter you can find a little sort of explanation, and sometimes I put in extra links as well, just to the galleries where they're exhibited as well.
And I was going to say, because as well as yourself and Lulu Bells, Louise Alder, fabulous. Old MacDonald had a film. I mean, you've got to watch it. They're amazing. I don't know if you've seen them, but they are just incredible. And with the same amount of standard and quality that you put into this book. I mean, it's just...
Well, thank you.
But I wanted to just mention that also my friend Adrian Rodriguez works for La Scena Musicale, and they're doing the Corona Serenades, and you just mentioned clapping and stuff, and the Corona Serenades are for opera singers, or singers who want to send messages of love and hope to and then basically we make a video, and I've put my name up to be one of those people, and they can request a song, and we're talking about creativity, and you were saying that you hadn't sung at first, and I haven't sung for a month. I've only just gone back to singing in the last few days. I just thought this was such a great feeling of impetus to go back to singing by doing this act, again coming together as one.
Definitely is
to create together, which I just found
and that's the great thing about singing. It unites people, and
exactly. Oh, you've been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And
not at all. Not at all. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I really appreciate every single one person that turns up. Tomorrow we will have James Clutton from Opera Holland Park, and he will be talking all about opera and community and what does that mean. And it would be great for you to join us here tomorrow because it's going to be a great session. And we've had a phenomenal session with you today. So informative and so inspiring everybody else to kind of do something a little bit different with it. So thank you so much, Peter. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.